Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Little Marketing Podcast, where we provide you smart and tangible marketing advice for your small business based on us working with small business owners across Australia for the last 17 years. So today we are going through step 8 in creating your positioning and point of difference. So if you're a first-time listener, I would strongly encourage you. In fact, there's no point even listening to this episode today. Go back and listen to the previous 7 episodes, which will take you through the first 7 steps to create that positioning and point of difference. Just to recap, remember, positioning and point of difference, we live in such an over-communicated society, a cluttered environment. So we want to make sure that you're able to cut through that clutter and without a positioning. And I'll explain what positioning is again for those that may have forgotten. That positioning and point of difference is so important to help you to cut through. Now, reminder, definition of positioning. It's about positioning your business and your brand in the minds of your customers where there's the least amount of competition or where you can eliminate the competition. So that's the whole point of positioning and the meaning of positioning, and that's why we need to create a point of difference. So if you've listened to the previous 7 episodes, we would have gone through that whole process with you to now get to the point where step 8, we create what we call a positioning statement. So we're going to basically put that positioning and point of difference into some key wording or messaging or in a statement that you can now use across all your marketing touch points. So whether it's your website, whether it's your social media posts, whether it's a flyer, whatever it is that might be your marketing touch points, we want to use that positioning statement across all those touch points to create 2 things. We want to be able to create that consistency in that message by using that positioning statement. And what that also allows us to do is then communicate consistently, so on a frequent perspective. You would have heard me say this before, that for us, we see 4 key areas for people to master their marketing in small business. 1, create that positioning and point of difference. 2, never waver from that. So don't try to be point of difference or create a new point of difference every single week. Never waver from that positioning and point of difference and what makes you special. 3, communicate it as frequently as possible. And 4, communicate it, I should say, more than your competition. So if you take those 4 criteria it'll give your business and your marketing the best chance of success. So as always, I refer to the book. It's our book, Small Business Marketing Decluttered. There's the front of it there. So we refer to those steps in this book, and that's why I keep referring to it in this podcast. So I'm going to refer to it. So reminder, why is this also important as a bit of a recap? So it's to ensure, and I'll read from here so that I don't miss anything, to ensure we have found a way to communicate to clients in a way that is different to the competition, which we just mentioned. It gives your business a meaning for what you do. In the cluttered world that we live in and the attention span that human beings have, a statement defines what we do, and then it does it in a really quick way, and it creates a message that we can use in a consistent way. So I kind of covered all those off in the intro. So when we create a positioning statement, we create a number of criteria. And it's important that you cover off these criteria when you're creating this positioning statement. So what's the first criteria? I'm just going to reach for my pen here because the page keeps opening up. What is the first criteria that we consider? So the first is your product or service offering. So in one of the steps, we would have spoken about how, based on your product or service offering, what can you do that is different to the competition? What can you focus or have an expertise on to make you stand out as an expert in that particular product or service offering? So we went through that in one of the steps. So if you don't recall that, maybe go back and have a listen. The second one is target audience. So really making sure that we are targeting to the audience. So when we're communicating to a specific audience, when they hear or see us, they feel like it's a needs match because they're like, I know what those guys do. I need to contact them. It's a need. It's the need that I have. They're offering that need. The only way we can create that need is that if we're really specific around who we actually help on the back of what we actually do. So if we're communicating what we do and who we do it for, in a really clear and concise way, it's going to give our marketing the best chance for success. And we want to put at least 2 of those criteria into the positioning statement. So the third is location. So it's being as specific as possible, where possible, to communicate where you create that or produce or offer your product or service offering. So if you're doing it in a particular suburb and that's your focus, be explicit and communicate that. If you're doing a particular city, communicate that. If you do it across a country and you're Australia-wide, communicate that. The more you resonate with people and you talk about a location that you're able to provide, then the better chance you have of people feeling like they can relate to you. And again, if you add that onto the back of being focused in your audience and being focused in what you do, you're putting just another element that makes people attracted to you. Fourth is the fear word. So I've spoken a lot about having some expertise and really focusing on an expertise around what you do. So when we talk fear word, we talk about, I'm going to reference this book, but we talk about fear word. So it's a word that you could use that might scare off new entry into the market. Because if you position yourself as a leader or as an expert in what you do, then it potentially may scare off the competitors. So if you would use words in your positioning statement like the leading expert specialist, number one, the original, words like this, I wouldn't use the best. I hate that. That's definitely, I would not use that. But those other words, I would use them ideally, if we can, as part of that positioning statement to position yourself as a leader in what we do. Now, again, speak about this over and over again, but consumers, and you're a consumer, consumers and clients only want to deal with the best in the business. So if we can position ourselves as a leader in what we do, as a specialist, as an expert, then we have a better chance or a higher chance of people choosing us. Now, we can't just say it. We need to be able to prove that as well. So, via social proof, the work that we've done before, the service offering we've provided, the products that we provide, we need to make sure that we are positioning ourselves as a leader, and the only way to do that is to actually offer that as part of our expertise and show that we are a leader and delivering that constantly. The final criteria I want you to consider is the word count. So when you think about product or service offering, target audience, location, and fear word, there's a lot to fit into a positioning statement or a key message. So we like to say if you can keep it or be like under kind of 7 words or 8 words, that would be the ideal. You're thinking, God, there's a lot to fit into 7 or 8 words. It is, and that's why this whole process, we work with clients for 4 hours and pre-research for that as well to come up with that key message and that positioning statement, because that will then form, as you know, it'll form the basis of all their marketing and communication going forward. So it's so critical that you get this right to cut through. So imagine you create the positioning statement and you've got it plastered across all of your marketing touch points and communicate it consistently, and your competitor doesn't have a key message. People don't really know what he does, who he does it for, where he does it, or why he's an expert in it. Then common sense tells and prevails that you have a better chance of being chosen if someone is to come across the 2 of you. So based on all that criteria that we just spoke about, so now think about how you're actually going to create that statement. So it becomes a bit of a word game to create that final positioning statement. So here's how best to create it. So put the 4 headings, so fear words, target audience, offering and location in 4 columns on a laptop or a whiteboard or whatever. If you get some team around, you have a team or friends or family, get them around you to help you. So that they're a bit more objective. You may not be great with words, so the more people you can around you is better. And then in the 4 columns, start to put options under each of the 4 headings. You could even use ChatGPT, give it some clear instructions to help you to do this as well. So in the 4 columns, start to put the options under each of those 4 headings. So the 4 headings, again, fear words, target audience, offering, location. And then you can start to mix and match those 4 columns to see what words work well together. And then the goal is to then create one statement from those 4 columns. So you may create 5 or 6 options. So think about what works. You've got to be comfortable in the options that you create. Be objective. Maybe ask a couple of people that are objective. See what their thoughts are. Don't ask too many people. What's key is that you're comfortable in whatever statement that you that you utilize, because you need to be comfortable in communicating it, because it's going to be across everything: your profile docs, your websites, your social media, your business card, everywhere. So you have to be comfortable with whatever positioning statement that you choose. And remember, you want to be genuine, so never mislead. Don't use words that are misleading in any of your communication or your positioning statement. That's really key. You don't want to get sued. And let me tell you, when you finally come up with a positioning statement, and I've been in thousands of meetings with clients to create this, it's like a lightning bolt that hits the room. There's an ease that hits the room. There's a comfortability around everybody, that they feel comfortable that we can use this statement across all of our marketing to help drive our business forward and attract the right audience. It's actually a really, like for me, when I've gone through that process with clients, it's a really exciting moment. You see the satisfaction on clients' faces, which gives us satisfaction as well, to know that we're helping this business and we're setting them on the right path to achieve success. So just an intermission with this step 8. Now, I know a lot of this can be overwhelming. If you've listened to the first 7 steps and all of our other podcast episodes and our shorts and everything else that we do, I know it can be super overwhelming to be able to do this on your own. So I want to tell you the 3 ways that can help you above and beyond these podcast episodes to help you in your marketing, to create that positioning and point of difference, create a marketing plan as well, which is critical to give your business and your marketing the best chance of actually being executed, and then actually doing the work as well. So there's 3 ways that we can work with you. So firstly, there's the book that we've written, Small Business Marketing Decluttered, Amazon bestseller. You can easily get that, $23 on Amazon. So that goes through the step-by-step process that we're going through today. The second option, which we introduced last year, we're super excited about and continues to do well, is the course. So again, it goes through this process to create a positioning and point of difference, create a marketing plan, and there's an extra subject in there about how you can use AI and chat GPT to help to execute some of this activity as well. So there's a course that you can do for $6.99. It's on the Little Marketing website under our course. You do the course at your own pace. All up, it's probably about 12 to 14 hours of your own time to go through that whole process to create a positioning, a point of difference, and a marketing plan for yourself. So if you feel like that's something you want to do at your own pace, jump online and enroll that today. And of course, the third and final way, and it's how the majority of our clients engage with Little Marketing, is for us to work with you and consult and execute on the whole process from the beginning in terms of creating that positioning and point of difference, right through to consulting, executing on their plans, and working with our clients for years and years to come. So they're the 3 key ways that Little Marketing can work with you. So whichever you feel is most comfortable, if you're ready to take the plunge, then take a pick and do what's most comfortable for you. All right, let's get back into it. So let's go through some examples of effective positioning statements. So I'm going to refer to the book again. So example 1, pretend you are a fire engineering consultant. You are based in Perth, and the one thing that you focus on is being a consultant in that space, and all of your clients are based in Perth. So a positioning statement or a key message for your business could be Perth's leading fire engineering consultancy. So really simple, 5 words, clean message. People understand who the audience is, because someone that needs fire engineering consultancy, they know who they are. And we talk about what we do and where we do it, and there's some expertise. So again, there's a first kind of example of what a positioning statement could be. And the reason we say position, I hear the word tagline a lot. I hate that word. Tagline is very fluffy. For me, a positioning statement refers to the word positioning, because remember, positioning is all about how we're positioning our business and our brand in the minds of our customers that is different to the competition. So if we can put that meaning into a message or a statement, that's why I call it a positioning statement. A tagline for me is like something that's fluffy, doesn't really tell you what we do. It's something that big companies use, and it's because they've got millions of dollars to be able to cut through the clutter. You're a small business, you don't have millions of dollars to cut through the clutter, so you've got to be really obvious and simple about what you do until you get to the point where you can use fluffy and not be obvious, because everyone knows who your brand is. So the second example could be that you supply synthetic grass to homeowners. So your positioning statement could be Sydney's experts in domestic synthetic grass. So you know how people like to have that instead of the lawn, they get synthetic grass now. So you could really position yourself. So let's go through. So Sydney, we've said location. Expert, there's the fear word. Domestic synthetic grass, so domestic, so we know it's for mum and dads, and synthetic grass, what we do. So we've covered off 4 of those criteria in that positioning statement. So again, people know exactly what we do and why we are different. In terms of these positioning statement examples, I did a short the other day that talks about positioning statement. I gave a good example for a waterproofing business. So if you want to have a look at that example as well, then get onto our shorts and have a look. Example number 3. Let's assume you have an e-commerce store and you sell gluten-free products and you deliver across Australia. So positioning statement could be leading Australian online gluten-free store. Really simple, leading expertise. We do it Australia-wide and we do it for people that obviously need gluten-free items. So again, really simple about what we do, who we do it for, and where we do it. Example 4, let's pretend you're an accountant, really competitive space, and let's pretend you focus on businesses, but we're going to focus even more, and we're going to focus on tradies. So the positioning statement, and so imagine you're a tradie, and you want an accountant. If you know that your accountant understands the trade, understands the intricacies of trade and hours and all of these things and how the trades work, then chances are you might choose that over a generic accountant. A million accountants out there in Australia. So the positioning statement could be a trusted accounting firm for Australian tradies. Actually love that one. So Australia, so we do it Australia-wide. Who do we do it for? We do it for tradies. What do we do? We are an accounting firm and a fear word, trusted. So we cover off fear word, who we are, what we do, and who we do it for. Love that one. So any accountants out there that need a focus, maybe focus on tradies. And fifth and final positioning statement example, let's pretend you are a plumber and you focus on the strata management industry. So imagine you're a plumber and you do plumbing for everybody, really competitive. Who do you do it for? Everybody. Where do you do it? Everywhere. Not a focus. So this is a nice focus. So to explain that example a bit more, so clients will call you up to go into a strata building and fix the structural plumbing of the building. And let's say you do it within Sydney. So let's say you do it, I always use the Sutherland Shire as an example. Anyone in Sydney would know that. And if you're in that region, there's enough kind of strata buildings to be able to suffice a business. So a positioning statement for that business could be specialist strata plumbers for the Sutherland Shire. So again, if you're a plumber in the Sutherland Shire and you need a focus, don't compete with everyone. Find a focus on who you do it for and where you do it. So you can see in those 5 examples that I've just given for positioning statements, we've tried to cover off what they do, who they do it for, where they do it, and some fear word in there as well. So some strong criteria. So if we talk specifically about target audience, I've got some examples here. So be really specific. So your business, regardless of what your business is in, be really specific about who your targeted audience is. So I've got some examples in this book about describing a target audience. So maybe you do work specifically for pubs, regardless of your industry. So maybe you focus on pubs. Maybe you focus on, maybe you provide a service to couples. Maybe we explicit about talking about couples. Maybe you do something for active women. Maybe you do something for gardeners. Maybe you supply something to airlines. Maybe you supply something to HR departments. Maybe to makeup artists. Maybe to men with long hair. People with hearing problems. Like, be really specific around who you help. And again, because it'll create a needs match for those person. The more obvious you are, remember, we live in a cluttered environment. People don't have time to decipher, clever, so be really obvious about what you do, who you do it for, and where you do it. A few other points before we finish off this step. So there's a guy called John Waller. He's written a few books, Built to Sell, The Automatic Customer, The Art of Selling Your Business. So he's written a few books, and I love this quote that he uses. I'm going to read it down here. So he says, don't generalize, specialize. If you focus on doing one thing well and hire specialists in that area, the quality of your work will improve and it will stand out amongst your competitors. I love that quote. And also another quote from Jim Collins, Good to Great. He always talks about being the world's best at what you do. Now, I know that sounds far-fetched, but if you truly don't believe that you are at least the best in the world about what you do, and take that seriously, and why can't you be? Think about it, take a step back, and that's why by having a focus can help you to do that. And I know that might seem a million miles away for a lot of you, but the point is that you focus and you be great at what you do, and you communicate that as well. And remember the whole point of creating this positioning statement and key message. So we live in an over-communicated society, we live in a cluttered world, and you need to be able to cut through. So creating that positioning statement is key, never wavering from that, communicating it consistently and as often as possible, and fourth, more than your competition. And I say this all the time, but your clients or your customers may not need you today, tomorrow, next week, but if they see you consistently, when the time comes to choose your product or service offering, if you've been top of mind, then you have a better chance of them choosing you over the competition. You think about yourself, put yourself in a customer's shoes. You know that if something is top of mind, you're going to recall it when the time comes, and chances are you might choose that person over their competitor. So that's step 8 in the process of creating your positioning and point of difference. I hope you got so much out of that series of those 8 episodes. We're going to continue with our weekly episodes of the podcast. So much information to be able to give you. If you haven't seen us, we've got heaps of shorts already on YouTube. All the podcasts are on Spotify and Apple, so make sure you're subscribing. Rating and review is always awesome to share that information. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back next week.
Please note that all the information provided on this podcast is general in nature and is not intended to be specific advice to your individual situation. Please be sure to engage a professional for a customized approach to your business and personal circumstances.